Hey there, I'm Kat, and this is Brews and Reviews. Today it's time to do the mid-year book Freakout tag, which was created by Ellie from Earl Grey Books and Chami. I'll leave a link to the original down in the description below. Now, if you've been on BookTube for any length of time, then I'm pretty sure you know this tag. It is one of the BookTube staples, and I'm just gonna get straight into it. Question number 1 is the best book that you've read so far, and for this one I'm gonna pick Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. Now, I've had a lot of good books that I've read this year. I've had a fair number of 5-star books. This is the only book I've read twice this year, and enjoyed twice equally. Probably more the second time, actually. This is a cozy fantasy with very low stakes about an orc who decides to give up her life of fighting and adventuring to open up a coffee shop, and I just feel like it hits that spot in me that is a very cozy and comfortable place, and sometimes that's what you want. Like, sometimes you don't want to be in peril, worried about your characters, worried that they are going to meet their doom or something horrifically traumatizing is going to happen to them, and thus you, and then you will cry. Sometimes you just want a latte. And that's why I'd probably say this is the best book I've read this year. Question number 2 is the best sequel that you've read this year, and for that one I'm going to pick Act Your Age, Eve Brown. Of course I'm going to pick Act Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. This is the third book in the Brown Sisters trilogy, and my favourite book in that trilogy, actually. I was very surprised because I've loved both Chloe and Danny Brown's books, and getting to this one I was expecting it to be okay, but I just really ended up enjoying the journey that Eve went on and the relationship that she developed and how she sort of grew as a person. And I also really liked the anxiety and the autistic representation that was featured in this book. It was just a really good time, and if you have been putting this book off like I did, then, you know, don't, because it's good. This book follows Eve as she tries to get a job and stick to a job. She goes to an interview and accidentally runs over the owner of this small B&B, and then she ends up helping him out in the kitchen. And it just sort of goes from there. It's just a really good story. Question number 3 is a new release that you haven't read yet, but you want to. And for that one I'm going to pick Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood, which I have it right here. And technically I haven't started reading it yet, though I am going to start reading it later today. It still counts for this, right? I'm so bad at forward thinking, and that's just what we're going to go with, okay? This one is new, right? It counts. I actually don't even know what this is about, except that there is probably going to be a woman in STEM falling for a guy. I really don't like going into books knowing what they're about, and I refuse to read the back of this book, so that's all you're gonna get from me. Question number 4 is your most anticipated read for the second half of the year, and for this one I'm gonna pick Bookshops and Bone Dust. Who could have guessed that the sequel to my favourite book? Actually, I think it's a prequel. I'm not sure. We just had a discussion about how I don't know things about books that aren't out yet, so I don't know what it is. But I am excited for it, and I just really want more of that cozy world, and I know it's not going to be exactly the same as Legends and Lattes, but I just want the same sort of atmosphere, and I'm excited for it. Question number 5 is your biggest disappointment, and for that one I actually have 2 books to talk about. So first up we have We Freed the Stars by Hafsa Faisal. This is the second book in the... Nope, don't remember the name of the series. It's not going to come to me. Gonna stop trying. It's the second book in the duology that starts with We Hunt Flame. I don't know if I've got those 2 mixed up, but the second book in that series anyway. So disappointing to me, I can't remember anything about the names. Now, the reason that I was disappointed with this is that I feel like it had so much potential and there was a lot of particularly very interesting things, but it just didn't go anywhere. And I actually ended up DNFing this book around 130 pages in because nothing had happened. And all of the characters were just sort of pining for each other when they could just communicate, and it would be all better if they just communicated. And they were so whiny about it. I mean, I know bad things have happened, but also you could solve so many of your problems, and also you could do literally anything. Literally anything. So that one was disappointing to me. I didn't expect to DNF it. I think I gave the first one 4 stars, maybe 3 stars. I don't know, but I ended up liking it less over time, and I didn't pick up the sequel, and now I know why I didn't pick up the sequel, because I didn't enjoy it. Not for me. Now, the other book that I want to talk about is Furyborn by Claire Grant. I really thought I was going to enjoy this book, and I wanted to be really involved in this book and I wanted to care about the characters in it, but I just didn't. This book follows two main characters in different timelines and they are connected to each other. And one of the perspective characters I just found incredibly annoying. She was very, very unlikable. And I just found it really hard to get behind her because she didn't communicate very well with anybody, but she was also just really mean. She just made these decisions that were just horrid, and I just didn't want to follow her. Every time it was one of her chapters, I was like, wow, interesting things are happening near you, but you're an asshole. But like, not in a good way. Like, it was like we were supposed to like her, and she was an asshole, rather than like she was an asshole and that's what makes her endearing, you know, that kind of character thing. I don't know. I didn't like her. And also the other storyline, I just felt like I was just not getting connected, and some of them made some really stupid decisions that was like, why are you doing that in the open, right there? What? Go to a room, please. Go to your room. And honestly, I can only really compare this book to the Tearling series by Erica Johansson, and I liked that from the first book, but I think the lack of connection and being so far removed from the characters, it's just not for me. It's really not a thing that I enjoy, so this was very disappointing to me because I thought I was going to enjoy it a lot more than I did, and this was a solid 3 stars for me, so it was very disappointing. Question number 6 is your biggest surprise, and for that one I'm going to have to say Cower of Dawn by Sarah J Maas. I really thought I was going to hate this book. Really thought I was going to hate this book, and I didn't. I actually ended up enjoying it, and I had to eat my words. So this book is a Kale perspective book. There are other characters that make this book worth it. I still don't enjoy Kale, and I find him unworthy of the growth that he gets in this book, but I'm never going to like Kale. It's not going to happen. But the other characters in this book were really fantastic. I really liked the different setting. I really liked the things that were uncovered in this story for the wider plot. And I just enjoyed lots of things that happened here, and I was so surprised because I was determined that I was going to hate it because it's Kale. And even he started to annoy me a little bit less towards the end. I still don't like him, but he annoyed me less. So, surprising. Question number 7 is your favourite new author, which is like a debut to you. And for this one I actually have 2 authors, and the first of which is Chloe Lease, particularly because I read Two Wrongs Make a Right. This is kind of a Midsummer Night's Dream retelling with fake dating, and I just really enjoyed the representation in this. There is autistic representation, queer representation, and anxiety representation, and I just think it was all done so well that I just really loved this book. There was like a slight bit towards the end that I didn't love because I just didn't think it was necessary, but the rest of the book I was like, oh, amazing, I love it. So I feel like I am on board for anything that Chloe Lease writes, and I'm here for it. The other author I want to put on this list is Lillian Lark, who writes monster romance, and I don't know, they're good. They're good books. I really like Deceived by the Gargoyles and Stalked by the Kraken. I think those are my 2 faves at this point in time. And I'm really up for reading anything that she's written because they're just well-written monster romance. I don't know what to tell you. Question number 8 is your newest fictional crush, and normally I don't answer this question because I don't know. But this time I'm going to say Romanu from The Demon's Bargain and that entire series, which starts with The Dragon's Bride. I just love them. I feel like they are so mischievous and like to poke at people's buttons, but also are very understanding in their own sort of way. I don't know how to explain them, but yeah, they're a demon with no eyes, and I will say nothing further on that matter. Question number 9 is your newest favourite character, and I have to admit that I actually don't have an answer for this one. I was looking at all the books that I read and trying to think of a character, and there are characters that I really like, but there are none that I sort of would put in that favourite category. I mean, maybe Romanu, but aside from that, I don't really think that there is anyone that I'm like, oh my god, I need to know what that character is doing, I want to follow them. I absolutely adore that character. And it's really disappointing, really. Maybe it's the type of books that I've been reading. I've been reading a lot of standalones, so there isn't really that character that stands alone in a series that you're reading. I don't know. I'm very confused by it. I feel like I love a favourite character, and I haven't had one for ages, so maybe that's something I need to work on for the rest of the year. Question number 10 is a book that made you cry, and while I haven't finished this book yet, I can definitely say Kingdom of Ash has made me cry. I'm only 275 pages into this book, but like the thing that happened just before I had to take a break because it made me cry so much, just happened, and I am not prepared to continue with this book yet. I will continue with it, but I know that there are things that happen later on in this book that are also going to make me cry, and I'm not ready. I'm not ready. Yeah, but this is kind of the perfect book for that answer. Question number 11 is a book that made you happy, and for that one I'm going to pick Rosalind Palmer Takes the Cake by Alexis Hall. This book is a romance that is based on the Great British Bake Off, and I heard Aoife from Pretty Purple Polka Dots talk about this book, and I knew I was going to like it, but I didn't know how much I was going to like. I read this book on holiday and it made me laugh out loud on multiple occasions, so much so that my mum wanted to read it directly after me. And I feel like what a glowing reception to a book. This is the first Alexis Hall book that I've read, and it has made me just really want to read so many more Alexis Hall books. I know there's like a sequel to this one, which is like the next season of the Bake Off, and that sounds great. And there's also boyfriend material, which my friend Joe keeps telling me to read, and I'm like, I will read it. I know I need to read it. And I will. Eventually. So many books that I need to read, but yeah, I'll catch up eventually. This book made me really happy, and I really enjoyed it. Question number 12 is the most beautiful book that you have bought or received this year. And for this one, I looked at my shelves and looked at the physical books that I've bought this year and realised that I haven't bought any pretty books this year. I bought like just regular books, discount books, not any that I would consider beautiful aesthetically. But I am going to twist this question and pick the most beautiful, generally contents-wise book that I have bought this year. Maybe that's what this question originally intended, but I just see face value and go for aesthetics normally. Oh, we're not doing that this time. We're going for the beautiful insides, and that is This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El Mokhtar and Max Gladstone. Now, I only recently picked up a physical copy of this book because it's $10.99. And it's a very small book, and I feel like that's a lot of money. But also it's been in the back of my head for ages, like, buy me. But also I was like, it's expensive for what it is, but I just caved. I bought it because I really think that this book is beautiful. It made me cry at the end, and I feel like it's something that I want to have on my shelves. So now I have it. If you don't know, this book is about two time-traveling warriors on opposite sides of a war who leave each other love notes throughout time, and it's just so beautiful, and I just think that all people should read it. Question number 13 is what books do you need to read before the end of the year, and for that one I have 3 books. There are many more, but I will limit myself to 3 here. The first of which is Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. I started it, I put it down, I'm not sure why, didn't pick it back up again. So that's on the list. I need to read that. It's the sequel to Ninth House, and I was enjoying it. I just put it down and didn't pick it back up because I'm a fool. The second book on that list is Finale by Stephanie Garber. This is the 3rd book in the Caraval series. I reread the first one, I need to reread the second one, and then finally finish Finale. I'm honestly just curious about how this ends, and I feel like it would be nice to finish another series off because I only had that one last book left. So here's hoping that I can do that. And then finally, I want to read A Strange Hymn by Laura Thalassa. Me and Kayla from Crack Into a Good Book were buddy reading the first book, and we're gonna buddy read the second one at some point this year, and I want to do it soon because otherwise I will forget what happened in the first book. And that is a curse. Otherwise I'll just have to reread the first book again. Oh, what a shame. It's not as if I didn't enjoy the first book. I was going to tell you what the name was, and I forgot. It's something to do with a bargainer. The Bargainer? It's the Bargainer's trilogy. The Bargainer's series. Oh my god. Why do I have a booktube channel? I can't remember a thing. What's my name? I don't know. If I didn't say it at the beginning of every video, would I forget it? Probably. And now we're on to the last question, which is question 14, your favourite book community member. And for this question, I actually want to take a moment to thank the creators of this tag, Ellie from Earl Grey Books and Chami, because this tag is just such a staple of booktube, and we all do it every single year, and I think we're all a little bit guilty, myself included, of not mentioning them. And this is a tag we all do. We should thank the people that have made it. So I just want to thank you guys for making this tag and giving us just the opportunity to talk about all of these different things in the middle of the year. Because I just think it's a great tag, and I think that we should all go and pay them a visit. So their links are in the description below, as I said at the beginning of this video. And yeah, that is it for this tag. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!